The first reaction was, thank God that it's paid off, because it was hard.
As soon as I come out of that arena, I just broke down in that back room and I had a moment with my coach to just, let it out. I just lost the Olympic final.
Most Americans have already made up their mind about how they feel about Donald Trump, about how they feel about that particular day. I'm not sure what factual difference it's going to make.
We were taught to get down on our knees and pray to Jesus while they were abusing us.
There isn't any known transmission rates of COVID from mum to baby, but in actual fact, there are a lot of babies in neonatal as a result of their mums having COVID.
Welcome to A Week in Interviews. This week, we start in Tokyo, where Team GB got off to a mesmerising start at the Olympic Games. Gold medalist Adam Peaty became the first British swimmer to defend an Olympic title, with victory in the 100 metres breaststroke. Taekwondo has also become the sport to watch, with Team GB's Lauren Williams narrowly missing out on gold in her bout during a nail-biting showdown. Our sports correspondent Tom Parmenter caught up with the pair in Tokyo.
The first reaction was, thank God that it's paid off, because it was hard. I'm a championship swimmer. I love the crowd. The more people that are in the stands, the better I perform. And I've proven that over the last 7 years. I haven't lost a 100 metre in a championship swim in the last 7 years. So it's been difficult. It's been difficult racing with no crowd, because you walk out and you're like, oh my God, it's actually like the Gladiator, in the arena. And I breathe that in and I soak it up, and that emotion just is extracted. But with this, there's been a very different approach into this Olympics, because there is no crowd you can rely on. There's a few flags, and yes, there's a few athletes in there, but nothing will match the vibration and the energy you get from a full house. So yeah, I mean, in my head, when I went down the mix zone and came out and I had a little bit of minute to myself, I was like, I wish my family were here so they could experience this moment with me. But I guess we're going to have to wait till 2024 now. So
how long do you keep on winning? When is it enough?
I don't know. Being a competitive person I am, I don't think it ever is enough. I think sport has a way of telling you to stop instead of me choosing when to stop. If I want to go to Paris at least, and even if you're looking beyond that, you've got to take a long time off. And one thing I've learned is, and I think everyone has learned through COVID, is how important our mental health is.
At the time, I was absolutely devastated. I tried to put on a brave face and enjoy it and, really walk off that ring with my head held high. But as soon as I come out of that arena, I just broke down in that back room and I had a moment with my coach to just, let it out. I just lost the Olympic final by a couple of points in a couple of seconds. There's no way you want to lose an Olympic final, but if I lose, I'd rather lose by a lot and, accept the loss. But because it was so close and I had it was in my hands for until that last 10 seconds or so. But on reflection, I've woken up this morning, I've got an Olympic medal around my neck, and I couldn't be more proud of myself, to be honest. I think I put in the best performance I could on the day, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself all day. I have no regrets other than them last 10 seconds.
And Jade Jones was there watching you?
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible for me. I couldn't quite believe what was going on. Walking out to that Olympic final, I had to glance in the crowd and I saw her there, and that was such a proud moment for me. I just couldn't quite believe it, and I thought that was a true, I've made it moment. I've watched Jade since I was a kid. She's the reason I'm there, and to be walking out to my own Olympic final with Jade watching me is a moment I'll never forget, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life. I was truly proud of that moment.
And tell me about when you decided as a young girl that you wanted to pursue an Olympic dream and get to the very top.
Yeah, so it was 2012. I was in my caravan watching the Olympics on telly, and we were just flicking through the channels. It was pure accident that we came across Taekwondo, but we saw GB and joined the rest of the nation to back Jade, and it was 10 seconds, but she was in a better position than me. We got behind her and saw her take the gold medal. So my dad asked, is this something you want to do? I said no, because I'd never seen the sport before, and I did kickboxing at the time. It was fairly similar. But yeah, there was an opportunity to try out for the team, and I got selected. I was chosen at the time. I was 13 or 14, and I never looked back.
Now, he's the golden boy of the pool, Tom Dean. He won the 200 metres freestyle in Tokyo, with teammate Duncan Scott taking the silver. Joining us now is Tom's mum, Jackie, who's at home in Maidenhead. Hello to you, Jackie.
Hello.
Good morning. So tell me how you watched it, where you were and how you felt.
So I wasn't in Tokyo, which was a shame. So we had a watch party at home in the garden, and I had 3 of Tom's other siblings and lots of family and friends and other swimmers and neighbours, and we did a big projection in the garden, and we filmed ourselves doing it, and we all raised a drink to Tom, and actually it was really, really lovely. It was a really joyous moment, and we, when you look at the video, we look like, there's about 70 of us, and we look like mad whirling dervishes, just jumping up and down, and it was very, very lovely. I sent him the video from Twitter, and he was like, "Mum, I couldn't stop watching it. I just looked at one person and then watched it again and looked at another and saw another," and he was so thrilled. He always goes very quiet before a race, and I think that's really good. So he just goes into himself and thinks about his racing. So we tend to keep the chat down. But I knew he was feeling confident. You know, he knew he'd put in the work. He knew it was going to be a really, really tight race. Duncan Scott is an amazing swimmer. There was the Russian, the Romanian. And he knew, as he said, it was going to be a dogfight. But I've just said to him now, "Did you think you could win it?" And he said, "Yes, I did." And won it he did by a fingernail. So he feels like he's in a dream at the moment. You know, his first Olympics, he's only young and he's just got gold. Tom's one of 5 and they were all swimmers. And so that's a lot of early mornings and a lot of after schools and an awful lot of weekends racing all over the country. And it's a slog, it's a real slog, but you know, they put in the work. All I do is provide the support. And you know, Tom's just always been one of those boys, you know, from when he was a baby, he was just so positive. He always thought that life was for the taking, and if he wanted to do something, he could. You know, he wanted to learn to play the trumpet, he would. If he wanted to be a good swimmer, he would. And so that positive attitude has just taken him all the way to the top, and, you know, good on him. It's been a joy.
Ross Murdoch, I'm sharing with, goes, have you seen the video? I was like, what are you on about? And he was welling up, he was in tears. He was like, "Oh, you've got to watch this video." He showed it to me, and it just set me off all over again. I was gone again, the emotions kind of took over. All my family, all my friends, everyone from Maidenhead, all the boys from back home, you know, it was insane. They're all going absolutely nuts. Being on the podium in first place with one of your closest mates in second place right next to you for Team GB, seeing the 2 Union Jacks go up, what more could you possibly want in the world? You know, you just couldn't even write this. And I think the emotions kind of all got the better of me slightly at that point when the anthem was being played and stuff, but it's unreal. 2 bouts of COVID were brutal, not just for the illness, but for the time out of the water, the time away from my sport, not being able to exercise and losing my fitness and everything. But, you know, you can get through it, and it's not, you know, the end of the world. And a lot of the athletes, the young athletes out there who haven't been able to train, you know, my younger brother at Maidenhead hadn't been able to train for months and months, and here he is back in the water, building his fitness back up, and you know, everyone's in the same boat. So I think just sticking with it and persevering and having faith in regaining your fitness is the best advice I could give.
Success was perhaps even more sweet for Tom Daley. The diver won his gold at the 4th time of asking, having previously missed out at Beijing, London and Rio de Janeiro. One of the first calls he made was to his one of his great mates and former teammate, Tonia Couch. Understandably, that medal featured pretty prominently. Tonia joins me live now from Plymouth, where they both started out. Hi, Tonia, very good to see you. So I've got to ask you, what did he say in his FaceTime call?
Just that he couldn't believe it. He said he knows that it was so close, but he would never believe that it actually happened. So he was speechless for the first 2 minutes. It was so nice to speak to him today. And he showed me his beautiful medal.
Yeah, well, you've been with him in all the step of the way. I bet you'd love to have been in Tokyo. How did you react when you saw that he'd finally done it?
I know, I wish I was there in the crowd, but I was at home, my alarm was set, there was no snoozing this morning, I was straight up, I was on the edge of my seat, I was jumping, I was screaming, and then I was crying. So, yeah, brilliant to watch. Him and Matty Lee did super well today. Yeah,
it was a lovely moment. And you've known him, as I was saying, since he was very young. I mean, I think sort of 6 or 7 years old. You've dived with him as well. What will this mean to him?
Oh, yeah, it's been amazing watching him grow over the years. I remember his first competition, he was just a tiny little boy, and now he's this incredible, well-known diver that finally got his Olympic gold. But yeah, I can imagine he got very, very teary, thinking about his dad, wishing his dad was there to watch him compete, and just the emotions of how hard he's worked for this gold medal. Fantastic. It was just beautiful to watch. I can't imagine there was one dry eye in that crowd.
No, and it's his 4th Olympics, probably, or maybe, his last. He must have thought, he'd never win Olympic gold.
I think that's probably what he kind of thought, but at the same time he wanted it that much, so that's why he carried on.
Yeah, and a quick word on Matty Lee. I mean, he gets one at his first Olympics.
I know. Matty Lee, honestly, we cannot forget how well he done today. His first Olympic Games, standing next to someone that's very, very well known. Can you imagine the pressure he was under today? And the fact he held it together, he should be super, super proud of himself. And something Tom did say to me, actually, he said that Matty Lee this year has not been beaten.
Bursting with pride, I'm sure, but ready to talk to us here on Sky News, Matty's parents, Helen and Tim, who were watching at home in the early hours of the morning. Congratulations. How does it feel to be the mum and dad of an Olympic champion?
Very exciting and very surreal, actually. Still at the moment, it's not really fully sunk in.
Yeah, just amazing. Yeah. Can't believe it.
I was going to see the scenes behind you, the bunting. Am I looking at the remnants of the party from this morning or just the beginning?
Yeah, it's the remnants, but they're coming back.
Yeah, we're continuing this party.
Have you had a chance to speak to Matty?
Yes, we spoke to him briefly.
About an hour ago.
And how's he doing? What did he say? Is it sunk in yet?
I'm not sure, actually. We didn't ask him that. It just seemed like his normal self, to be fair, just showing off his medal and very excited. And talking about what he'd been doing since the competition.
Tim, what was it like? This is Matty's first Olympics, and he comes home, or he will come home, with a gold medal. Is that something he expected? Was he that confident?
No, I'm sure he wouldn't be. He's not the type of person to be that confident, I don't think. In the sense of thinking you're going to come home with a gold. No, not at all. I think he just wanted to go out there, enjoy the experience, enjoy the whole thing. And whatever came would be a bonus, and he knew that we'd be proud of him, whatever the result. And obviously now we're just like ecstatically proud. I mean, can't believe it. So, yeah.
Helen, talk to me about his partner, Tom Daley, because he was actually Matty's hero growing up. So it must be a real pinch-me moment for him, not only winning gold, but winning gold alongside Tom Daley.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's pictures of him in 2009. Having his photograph taken with Tom Daley and sort of getting his autograph and things. So, but to be honest, sort of since Matty moved down to London in 2018, they've become very good friends as well as sort of synchro partners. So I think, and Tom's really helped him to progress in his diving. So we're very, very, very happy, very pleased.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an understatement. I'm amazed that you two are so calm. I mean, I'm feeling giddy and, I watched it and I don't even know him.
We weren't this morning.
You're probably just feeling a bit tired now. But, Tim, what next for Matty? I mean, obviously, well, hopefully he'll get a little bit of a rest. But, Tim, he'll go again, won't he? This is just the beginning.
He's very much more sort of geared up for his diving. He's very positive, and this is always what he wanted to do, but he's now really...
Enjoying his diving,
yeah, so he won't want to stop.
No, definitely not. And Helen, what's the plan for him when he gets home, when you get your boy home?
Well, a big hug for starters, because we'll be wanting that. But then we'll have some sort of family and friends celebration, maybe sort of next week or something like that, give him a chance to recover from the jet lag and things.
This is where it all happened. Gold and silver medals in the BMX for Team GB. What an exciting spectacle it is to watch these BMX races. The men's race first, that was the first one up with Whyte. Tell me what's gone into that.
A lot of training, a lot of sacrifice from family and mum and dad. Like, they've obviously slept in cars just to get me to a race, and that's when I was 13. So imagine what they'd do for me to get to the Olympics if there was no GB team. I wouldn't like to say I'll move my family out of Peckham, but I like for them to be comfy. I like to support them. I feel like that drives me more, because being from Peckham is not the best place. It's not the worst, but it's certainly not the best. The drive this gave me to make it from Peckham to the GB team in Manchester, then from Manchester to the Olympic team, and an Olympic team to a silver medal. So yeah, it's just gave me super drive.
They've called you the Prince of Peckham.
You know,
I thought that was Rodney Trosser.
That name is sticking. I'm sticking with that name because, yeah, that just rings the bells. Like, do you know what I mean? It just makes sense.
After Kai had finished his race, he stepped to one side, got behind one of the barriers just close to the finishing line, and watched the women's race go off. And this included his good friend Bethany Shriever.
Just before I was going up the start to do my race, I saw that. I was screaming for him, I was almost crying. I was like, I had to compose myself, because obviously I knew I was going to see him, but I was so proud of him. Like, to do this with him as well is so special. I mean, over the past few years, I've had to deal with injuries, obviously funding getting cut and going my own way, having to work, obviously crowdfunding as well.
When they cut the funding, could you quite believe that they did that?
It was a very big shock, and yeah, it hit us, not just me, but it hit quite a few people quite hard. But I knew that I loved this sport. I think now, obviously, I'm grateful for the National Lottery for funding me now and to get the support, because I wouldn't be here now without all that and without being a full-time athlete. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
This week, an inquiry published its findings into the scale of sexual abuse suffered by children in the care of Lambeth Council. Over several decades, hundreds of children were subjected to prolonged sexual, physical and racial abuse. One of those children, Bill Maloney, spoke to Sky's national correspondent, Alex Rossi.
This is me, and this is my brother Tony, who was 2 years younger than me.
These photographs were taken on a trip to Hastings. It was supposed to be a happy holiday, but behind the smiles, there is darkness and pain of constant abuse.
It's cut my whole life has been messed about with, my whole life, by the abuse that happened. It makes you feel worthless. It's a broken heart. It's a broken spirit. It's a broken soul. It's broken everything. We were taught to get down on our knees and pray to Jesus while they were abusing us. And I was probably 5 or 6, but I remember being held on a drain cover. I had no top on me. It was a very hot day. This was in Shirley Oaks. And one of the carers, one of the women, just held me down on the top of the drain, which burnt me, and I was screaming. And my dad wasn't allowed to go there because we'd been abused so many times. They didn't want us passing the information onto my dad, because my dad was a tough little guy. But I was too ashamed to tell my dad. They killed us. I'm not alive as I should be now. I'm dead because of not so much what they'd done to me, but what they'd done to my brothers and sisters.
For Bill Maloney and other children whose lives have been permanently damaged, the apology from the council is just empty words, and no inquiry can ever heal their trauma.
I was grabbed, beaten, tased, all while being called a traitor to my country.
For the first time, I was more afraid to work at the Capitol than my entire deployment to Iraq. The rioters called me a traitor, a disgrace, and shouted that I, an army veteran and a police officer, should be executed.
Mick Mulvaney was a chief of staff for Donald Trump, who went on to become Northern Ireland envoy before resigning his role in protest at those Capitol riots on January the 6th. And he joins us now. Mr. Mulvaney, thank you so much for joining us. That was emotional testimony today. What were your thoughts as you were listening to those officers?
This was a very serious event. It's hard to exaggerate the seriousness of what happened in this country on January 6th when a group of people tried to invade our national Capitol building for the sole purpose of preventing the Constitution from being followed.
Because you resigned over these riots, didn't you?
I complained at the time that I thought the Democrats were rushing through impeachment. They didn't have hardly any factual hearings in the House. They didn't call any witnesses, I don't believe, in the Senate. It was pretty much a rush to judgment. What you're seeing today should have been done 8 months ago. And the simple fact that it's taking place now, I think, again, speaks to the political nature and not the fact-finding objective nature of the process.
How are the American people reacting to this? Are they following it? Is it being watched?
I'm not sure what factual difference it's going to make. Most people have made up their minds. There are folks like me who was actually in the Capitol on that day. I would like to know more about what happened, but I think most people have decided it's midday here. The Olympics are on. It's not high TV time, but generally speaking, I don't think a lot of folks are paying attention.
Expectant mums are being urged to get vaccinated as well. My next guest, Olivia Buxton, was 38 weeks pregnant when she caught COVID back in January. 2 weeks before, she'd had a checkup and was told everything was fine, but her levels of amniotic fluid suddenly dropped, prompting her into early labour.
I was 38 weeks pregnant when I developed symptoms of coronavirus. I had a splitting headache and a cough, and I rang the hospital immediately, and they basically told me that I would be fine if I just continued to monitor it. I then developed really difficult problems in breathing, and I was admitted to hospital.
Why do you think that mums are anxious about having a vaccine while pregnant?
I think it's such an unknown quantity. Obviously, the vaccine, when I was pregnant, was considered not safe, or they hadn't done enough research into it to actually give it to pregnant women. So I think it's fine because it's your decision to obviously have the vaccine. But when it's not just you are pregnant with obviously another human being. There isn't any known transmission rates of COVID from mum to baby, but in actual fact, there are a lot of babies in neonatal as a result of their mums having COVID. But he is fine now, absolutely fine. He's completely healthy. He was due to be born at 9 pounds, but he was 7 pounds when he was born. But he is a very, very healthy weight and no other side effects from the maternal illness.